Hello my loyalist brothers to the throne and welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be talking more Space Marine 2, but this time I want to focus on the potential story of the game. As you've all watched the trailer now, we know that Titus has indeed returned and will be the main protagonist of the story. That itself opens up a lot of questions that I will be exploring in this video. Please be aware that this is just pure speculation on my part, nothing is confirmed. So let's jump in and let's talk about Space Marine 2. So I think the best way to do this video is that we break it down into sections. So the first section is going to be the date and location the story takes place. The second section is going to be dedicated to the planet itself and the enemies that we will encounter. And the last section is going to be dedicated to Titus and other main characters he will interact with and share the story with. Now we can easily confirm that this story is set after the events of the Great Rift, after Rebooted Gilliman has returned, claimed the title of Lord Commander, and launched the Indomitus Crusade. As we're all aware, the Marines that jumped out of the Thunderhawk were Primaris Marines. I looked closely at each of their shoulder pauldrons and saw no markings that indicated them as Grey Shields. This gives us a few tidbits of information. One being that these Marines may actually be attached and deployed with the Ultramarine chapter itself instead of a Crusade host of Grey Shields. Secondly, this story may be taking place a few years actually into the Indomitus Crusade as well. The Indomitus Crusade was said to have lasted around 117 years. That was according to the 8th edition lore. Again, this has probably been retconned now because of the Dawn of Fire series and the launch of 40k 9th edition, where we basically have gone back in time telling the story of the actual Indomitus Crusade. I personally don't think that this game will jump the current Dawn of Fire series, and at the present the key story in that series is the Plague Wars, which takes place around 12 to 15 years into the Indomitus Crusade. So I think that this story will take place around 5 to 10 years into that crusade. Now, when it comes to the location, this can be a tricky subject because we haven't really had an update to the Tyranid Codex for 9th edition as of yet. We've had a Warzone update, but no full Codex edition. What you normally find in these codexes is maps, like the one that's in the background right now. This is the one you're seeing from the 8th edition Codex, and the location of High Fleet Leviathan is all the way down in the south in the Segmentum Tempestus. Now, this doesn't really mean that much because High Fleet Leviathan was a Tyranid force that assaulted the Blood Angels' homeworld of Baal, and as you can see on the map, that is located all the way in the north. So when it comes to these maps, you have to take it with a pinch of salt. What I will say is that I don't see this game taking place around Ultramar or the realm of Ultramar, the 500 worlds, because we have plenty of different hive fleets that would fit better if that story took place there. For me, I think this story will personally happen in the Segmentum Tempestus for reasons we will explore later in this video. Moving on to the next section of this video is the planet the story takes place on and the enemies we will encounter. So from the trailer, we can see that this world is highly populated. We can see a fair few spires poking out of the clouds. When the 3 Thunderhawks descend on the planet, we get to see these a bit better. Huge spires surrounded by vast city landscapes. In the original game, we battled on a forge world called Graia. The atmosphere was dry, it looked barren and littered with ruined buildings dedicated to the manufacturing of weapons and titans for the Imperium. This planet looked a lot different, of course, to Forge World Graia. It doesn't have that industrial look to it. It gives off more of a sense of worship instead. I actually think we may be fighting on an Imperial Shrine world. The clues to this can be seen as the Thunderhawks fly through the clouds and drop off the Ultramarines fighting against the Tyranids. As you can see here in the background, on the right hand side, we have 2 huge statues of Space Marines. You can clearly see their pauldrons and the power armor they wear. These were actually old scenery models you could buy to jazz up your battlefield for your tabletop games. Also, when the guard are actually fighting in the courtyard, we don't really see any type of manufacturing machines. It looks more like a place dedicated to the hierarchy / worship of the Emperor. The golden trims on the statues, the stained glass, the banners, even the little things like marbled benches for you to rest on. This is something you wouldn't find on a world that wants you to constantly be on your feet producing weapons or supplies for the Imperium. And this leads us into the next big question, is what enemies will be fighting on this world? Of course, the Tyranids are going to be the common threat. We're going to be wading through them in countless numbers. I expect we will see everything from the lowly Gaunt all the way up to the Swarm Lord itself. Because how amazing would it be if we actually got to see Titus charging the Swarm Lord and battling against one of the greatest threats known in the galaxy? If we do manage to survive the Swarm Lord, let's just say we actually do fight it and we survive it, then surely that puts Titus up there with legendary characters such as Dante. I also think the Tyranids may actually have an ally in this game, just like the Space Marines will have the Imperial Guard as their ally. I think we will encounter some Gene Stealer cultists. It makes perfect sense for them to have summoned this Tyranid force to this world. It's a very, very rare thing to see a Tyranid force stumbling on an Imperial world. What normally happens is that there's a Gene Stealer cult, they start singing to the stars, and that brings the Tyranid force to that planet. So I really think it would be a great thing to see some Gene Stealer cults added to this game to give a bit more of a face to the enemy that we're fighting. But truly, I think the main enemy of this game will be Chaos. Just like the previous Space Marine game. Chaos Space Marines, demons, and of course, a demon prince. And that leads us into the final part of this video, which is Titus and the main characters he will interact with and share this story with. Now, we were all left in wonder when Space Marine ended. Leandros accused Captain Titus of being an agent of chaos. He reported Titus to the Inquisition for his actions on how he overcame and beat chaos on the Forge World of Graia. The final shot we got was Titus being led into the ship by the Black Templars and the Inquisitor. Leandros watched as the ramp closed, then he turned his back and walked away. For years now, we've been left with a burning question: what happened to Titus? Was he actually corrupted by chaos? Was he some type of Space Marine blank? Did he become a Black Shield? So many bloody questions and no answers. Now we know a few things. The main thing is that he has now crossed the Rubicon Primaris, ascended with the new gifts from Belisarius' Call. Also, he has worked or is currently working with the Inquisition. We spoke about this in my previous video that broke down the trailer. His chained arm has a pendant attached to it, which is showing the sigil of the Inquisition. This could really mean two things. He actually served time with the Inquisition and was found innocent and then returned to the chapter of the Ultramarines, or he is currently redeeming himself to prove that no Chaos taint was ever present. Other things we noticed about Titus is that he no longer bears the rank of captain. He is now a lieutenant. This could make sense if he was taken away by the Inquisition to serve with them, as they would need to find a replacement. So when he did return to the Ultramarine chapter, he took the next senior rank he could within the company, which is, of course, a lieutenant. Also, the service of Titus is now close to 400 years. The reason I say this is that each golden stud on his face means 1 century of service. As you can see with the screenshot in the background, he has 4 of them on his face. So Titus at this point is a grizzled veteran, not just of the Ultramarines, but within the Adeptus Astartes itself, not many Space Marines make it to that age in the galaxy. I think one of the key points to Titus and the story is now what he has done within those years of service. How long he was held by the Inquisition, did that affect him in a way that he has now changed his outlook on how he interacts with people on the battlefield? I really hope that this story, we get to see him talk about his past and what hurdles he had to jump through to get to this position he is in now. I think one of the ways this could be achieved is who Titus will interact with at his side. I think this game will be almost identical to the way the original game did it. You have two battle brothers by your side, aiding you in certain situations. Just like the last game, it appears that we have a sergeant and what seems to be a normal battle brother fighting with Titus. Now, will these characters be new characters, or will we have a character that we all know? Of course, I'm talking about Leandros, everyone's favourite book-reading Space Marine.
Is that wise, Captain? The Codex Astartes does not support this action.
I think Leandros is going to play a very important part in this game's story because he is the reason why Titus was taken away. He informed the Inquisition that Titus himself was corrupted by chaos. The question I have for you is, how will he appear? Is Leandros now holding a senior rank within the chapter? Could he be that sergeant? Or does he now outrank Titus after all these years of service? I do think it's safe to say that we all want to see Leandros and Titus have that long-awaited conversation on the battlefield. Now, when it comes to other characters that we could see Titus interact with, as we saw in the trailer, the Imperial Guard are going to be on this planet. Again, just like in the previous game, I think we will have some type of character who takes command, who will be our connection to that force. Sadly, I think Mira is dead at this point in the story, as we have another 200 years of service added to Titus, unless she became some type of general/high figure in the guard and got some credits to spend on some redrive treatments. I'm going to say that she is dead in the ground. I just hope whoever takes the role of connecting us to the guard is as badass as she was. Now, one of the most important aspects to the previous game was Titus hunting down the Orc war boss. All he wanted was the Space Marines to get off his ship. The problem we have now in this game is the Tyranids don't have that personality of the Orcs. What I mean by this is we won't see Orcs shouting stuff. We won't see the little conversations between Orcs and Titus as he butchers his way through them. The Tyranids are made for one reason: to murder and consume. They haven't got time to talk. I think one way around this would possibly be Genestealer Cultist. As I mentioned in the previous section about the enemy forces, it would make sense to have the cult on this planet that guides the Tyranid force. Maybe they can be our connection to the Tyranid enemy on the planet, which then gives them personality and dialogue. Now, as much as I love purging myself some Xenos, because I really do, I think this story's main threat will again be chaos. We haven't had a proper ending to Titus' story with Nemiroff. He ascended to a demon prince last game, and a lot of people actually thought he was killed when Titus, crushed his head, but he was only banished back to the warp. Nemiroff is the main reason why all this has happened to Titus. Yes, you can blame Leandros to a certain extent, but chaos is the ultimate enemy in this story, and I think the way that they can be reintroduced is down to the planet again. As I already said, I think this planet may be a shrine world, and what you normally find upon shrine worlds are great relics, mostly dedicated to the worship of saints or the emperor himself, but sometimes hid deep down in the underbelly, kept in secret in the dark places and locked away, are relics dedicated to chaos. The reason why chaos relics are sometimes kept on shrine worlds is because the faith of the people on that planet null their power. Their faith in the emperor overpowers chaos. Now, with the Tyranid invasion, that balance could be ruined. As the population is consumed by the Tyranid threat, chaos grows stronger, which could allow for a warp rift to occur to unleash deadly powers on the planet. I think it could be a great way to bring back Nemiroff, get him back in the story, and give us another chance to purge some Chaos Space Marines. Now, finally, just to end the video, one of the great things about the last game was seeing the Blood Ravens show up and aid Titus in battle. I think it would be a crime against the Imperium not to see other chapters get involved in this storyline. If any developers are watching this video, then let me just say that the Imperial Fists are on standby to deploy. Or, if you're feeling very, very brave, the Reclaimers of Dawn, led by Chapter Master Valrak himself, would deploy to aid the Ultramarines and rid the planet of these vile enemies. And that's enough talking from me, Chaperunios. I would love to get your thoughts and feedback on the stuff that I've talked about. I would love to get your speculation on the story. Who do you think is going to appear? Why are they going to appear? Do you think Chaos is going to be the main threat? Do you think anything else is going to be put in there to surprise us? Maybe, I haven't really mentioned this in the video, maybe a Primarch could show up in this story. I think that would be a big mouth opener, right? To see someone as amazing like that show up in a Space Marine story. Right, enough waffling from me. Hopefully you're all having a fantastic day, night, wherever you are. I'll see you very soon, and bye-bye.